Peter Obi and his running mate, Dati Baba Ahmed. In a petition sent to the DSS, Keyamo asked the agency to prevail on Obi and Baba Ahmed to stop heating up the polity. He said Obi and Baba Ahmed have been making incendiary statements and claims about the declaration of Bola Tinubu as president-elect by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Keyamo stated that the latest of such comments are those made by Baba Ahmed on a television station, Not TVC, on Wednesday, 22nd of March, where the Labour Party vice presidential candidate threatened that the swearing-in of Tinubu on May 29 would signal the end of democracy in the country. The Minister of State for Labour and Employment said Baba Ahmed unilaterally declared the president-elect as unconstitutional and threatened mayhem. If Tinubu is sworn in on May 29, he alleged that he has it on good authority that the duo sponsored some youths to populate social space with inciting messages that could lead to violence in the country. The Ogun State Commander of the Nigerian Police has confirmed the arrest of 30 persons during Saturday's governorship and state assembly elections for attempted vote buying. Speaking with journalists in Abeokuta, the state capital, the State Commissioner of Police, Frank Mba, said some of the suspects were also arrested for alleged conduct likely to cause breach of peace with firearms, live cartridges, 235 customized ATM cards and other items recovered from them.
The exertion of undue influence and attempt to indulge in vote buying. We also recovered a total of 12 weapons, 12 firearms of different makes and shapes. Most of them are locally fabricated shotguns. We also recovered one Beretta pistol, is an English-made pistol. We recovered a total of 25 live cartridges and 8 expended cartridges.
The Adamawa State Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has reversed the suspension of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, by the party's ward executive officers in Yola North local government area of the state. The party accused the opposition party of sponsoring the suspension ahead of governorship rerun election. At a press briefing in Yola, the state chairman of the party described the suspension as unconstitutional, null, void, and of no effect. The local government executive committee in Yola North was therefore directed to immediately constitute a disciplinary committee and recommend appropriate action.
It is a known fact and worth mention that the contribution of Boss Mustafa towards sustaining and supporting the party in the state is second to none and cannot be overemphasized. Therefore, any group hiding under the auspices of the party, whom we also know are sponsored by the opposition, to come out with such a malicious publication at this critical time is highly condemnable.
All right, let's take a short break, and when we return, it will be time to speak with a political and development economist and member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. I will be back. Welcome back. It's to Watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. And now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am now joined by a political and development economist and member on the lessons learned and takeaways from the 2023 elections. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Good evening. You. All right. As a member of the APC Campaign Council, how will you assess outcome of the 2023 elections?
Well, we can take it from the presidential, and the outcome is very glaring that this is probably the most competitive election we've ever held since the return to democracy in 1990, after the Abdul Salami-led military junta gave up power for a proper civilian rule. We've always had an election where there is always maybe, okay, let's say for instance, the first time we had the AD and AP, I think the AD, then the AD came together with the ANPP, then it was APP to tag team against the PDP. And the difference was clear. And then we had something similar in 2003 and 2007, and we've had it like that. But this time, it was a lot different, in the sense that we had not two front runners, but three supposedly front runners. However, if we cast our mind back to 2015, when the opposition was going to dislodge the ruling PDP, then they came together. We had the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then we had the NPP, and then we had, I think, a part of APGA, led by then the former governor, Rochas Okorocha. So you see the difference in 2015 and 2023 is simple. The opposition came together in one voice as one body, and they were able to dislodge the ruling party. Unlike this current election that we just ended, the opposition was fragmented. You had the PDP presenting Atiku, you had the PDP Light, that's Labour Party, then you had the other PDP, NPP, the NNPP. All of them fragmented themselves into three different parts. So what we have learned is that an opposition that intends to dislodge a ruling party will have to come together and be in unity. However, what worked for the ruling party is the fact that the party was united, while for the opposition it was about self-aggrandizement. Everybody wants to be president. For the one who is a career contestant who just want to contest, he's been contesting since 1992. Then for the one who thinks it is he just have to do it, and then we have to use religion and everything. So it was a different ball game from 2023 to 2020. I mean, from 2015 to 2023, there was unity with the opposition. Unlike this time, there was disunity. In fact, in the PDP, you had the G5 also refusing to support their candidate because of what they term his overbearing attitude, and probably maybe they felt it was also the issue is that 5 key governors refused to support their candidate. So the opposition was fragmented, they were not united, so there was no way they were going to dislodge the ruling party led by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the candidate who has now been graciously elected as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, elect, waiting for to be sworn in come May 29. So that is the difference. Those are the key. The key is unity to remove an opposition party, not fragmentation of different of the same party using different names and different name and appellations to fight for a battle that they could have fought together. Now they are coming together to give joint press conference to heat up the polity and to create unnecessary problem. Something they could have done as one to win, they are now doing it as one to destroy the country because they have lost election, which is quite unfortunate because I believe the spirit of sportsmanship should kick in an election. You must understand that somebody will win, others will lose, and the losers should accept their fate. And if they don't want to accept their fate, there are channels to which you can channel your energy, which is go through the legal route. Unlike going around hopping from one TV station to the other, making incendiary statements, creating unnecessary hoopla, and trying to burn down the country. I don't think anybody needs that at this time. And then some other lessons we have also learned in this election has been the use of the beavers. The use of the beavers means it was easy to accredit people, and then to inflate votes becomes almost impossible. Unlike what we used to have before, where some strong men sit in one room and write whatever they think should be the result. That also was proven yesterday when they finally released the election result for the governorship election in Abia State. You realize that it's somewhere Ungwa, I really don't know how to pronounce it. they went to write very unnecessarily high figures. Clearly, the beavers proved that such kind of accreditation was not done. So with the beavers, it helps to reduce inflation of votes, because if you cannot account for the number through accreditation, you cannot present such unnecessarily high number. It clearly will prove that you have cheated in the election. So a lot of lessons to be learned, and I believe some of the problems that we face, INEC must have noticed this and begin to put that in their own records, so that they will look at those areas where there were failures, and then they can work on it, and we can continue to improve. Of course, you cannot have a perfect election, but you can always improve from time to time. From the ordinary card reader, now we have the beavers, which is an improvement on what the card reader was supposed to be doing then. So by and large, what we have had now is what you would call a more credible and fairer process than we even had in 2015.
All right, Mr. Oyalowo, you have made a very valid point, and also in your submission, you have called the 2023 election the most competitive, which of course many share the same sentiments with you. But what will you link Asiwaju's victory to?
Well, I have said Asiwaju's victory was clearly a result of unity in the ruling party. While the opposition was fragmented, Asiwaju had a united front. You could see all the 20 or is it 22 APC governors pulling along with him. You remember in the course of this election, we had the cash issue deliberately orchestrated by the CBN governor to create unnecessary problem. Up till now, I still have problem today. When I was told I was coming here, I realized I didn't have enough fuel in my car. I had to go to a filling station. Get there, I didn't have cash. The POS was not working. It was a mess today before I could finally get to purchase fuel. So this problem was deliberately orchestrated. However, what helped the APC was that Asiwaju had the support of the APC governors, especially the northern governors who rally around him, led by Nasir El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, and the governor of Kano State, Dr. Omar Ganduje. These men and other men, such as the governor of Kebbi, who was always in tow with Asiwaju, these men came together and decided that, look, it is time for the South to produce a president when the North has had its own 8 years. And such unity is the strength upon which the presidential fulcrum of Asiwaju's dream was built. They saw the dream, they renewed hope, and they believe in him. So APC was able to win this election because it went into the election as a unified front. Unlike the PDP, I keep bringing back 2015 because you can always draw these lessons. In 2015, you had the NPDP broke away. In fact, when I was talking about the people that made up the APC, I actually forgot about the NPDP. They had 7 governors who were angry, but 5 of them pulled out, 2 remained in the party, and they came and joined the APC. So what the APC really gained in this election is the fact that they learned from what the PDP did in 2015 by remaining a united and a strong unit. So Asiwaju is winning, one, to the strength of his campaign. His manifesto was the best. It was unquestionably the only manifesto in this election. Others were just trying to say, okay, we did the manifesto. So he had a very, very strong and powerful manifesto. He also had a very viable members in the party who helped him, especially the APC governors. So the things that will have created problem for Asiwaju had been dealt with in the sense that we had unity. Yes, we had some challenges here and there when there was fuel scarcity, there was cash crunch and all those things. However, people begin to realize that these things were orchestrated by the opposition and some enemies of progress of Asiwaju, and people saw beyond it. In fact, a musician went ahead to sing, even when there is cash or there is no cash, we will still support him. So clearly, Asiwaju had the unity, the support of his party members, the support of his governors, and then the trust of the majority of Nigerians who went to the polls, because some 6 million gave their vote to the perennial contestants, some 6 million gave their own to the one who thought it was about religion, and then over 8.7 million gave their vote to the man who promised to give a renewed hope. So Asiwaju won this election clearly on the strength of his campaign, on the strength of unity in his party, and on the strength of the power of his messaging to Nigerians and to those who went to the polls to vote.
Now, let's talk about surprises. How shocked were you about APC's loss of Lagos State in the presidential election?
Yeah, I was shocked initially, but eventually many of us decided to find out what happened. I am not going to tell you on air what we discovered, but we noticed what happened. We corrected most of it, and the result of that correction is what you saw on the 18th of March, where we not only won by peace, let there be healing, even though some people are doing everything they can to burn down the country. We will not join them. We don't have another country. We are not sore losers. We lost Lagos. We took it. I remember Asiwaju actually said he took it in good faith. So who are we not to support his thinking? So yes, we knew what happened, but we have taken it on our stride. In our stride, and we corrected once we could, and the result is self-evident on the 18th of March, where we not only won, we won by a very huge margin that even if we dashed them the result they had twice, they still would not have caught up with the APC.
Oyalowo, as a friend of the House, I'm surprised as to why you do not want to share those findings with me. But then, I remember days before the governorship election, the national youth leader of your party, Dayo Israel, was here on the show. And he said to me that the party chieftains and leaders will listen more. Was that reflective of what we saw at the governorship election?
Well, Dayo is my aburo, so I'm not going to agree. I'm not going to disagree with Dayo. Like I said, we discovered what the issues were. We corrected them in-house. You see, why we don't want to use war example, but election, you can use warfare as an example. In a war, the generals don't disclose their strategy in public. We discover what the issues were, I can assure you, and we worked on it, and you can see the result is self-evident. Evident on what happened just last Saturday. Please don't make me say this. I don't want to say. We don't want to put out everything here in the public place. What is more important is that our Mr. Celebol, our working governor, Sanwo-Olu, has been able to get back his second term to continue with the good work he's been doing, to continue with the project he's been doing. You can see, the moment he was declared, the man did not sit down. On Monday, he was out there in the field, supervising projects and all. And by Sunday, I think Sunday or Monday, the promise he made to increase workers' salary by 20%, instantly he signed, and that was so. That tells you that we knew we were going to win because we had corrected the lapses we saw on the February election, 25th of February election. We saw the mistakes and we corrected them, and we are glad that we were able to do that. And I can assure you, such mistakes will never occur again, God willing.
What of the results shocked you during the presidential election?
The one that also shocked me was we losing Katsina State, the state of the president. It was shocking. That's in the presidential election. And then losing Kaduna State was also shocking because I am aware that my brother there, Malam Nasir Rufai, has not just been a governor, he's been probably one of the best administrators we've had in Nigeria in the last 2 decades. This is not praising him. I hope he's not listening so that his head will not be swollen. But sincerely, that man has been beyond belief in terms of his administrative competence and the way he has grown Kaduna from just another state to one of the best states in terms of IGR, in terms of fiscal development. You need to visit Kaduna, honestly, to understand what I'm saying. If you have been to Kaduna 4 years ago, you will not know your way in Kaduna today. You are going to get lost except you are led properly. So that is the measure of the man. So I was surprised we lost Kaduna. I was also surprised we lost, I don't want to say I'm surprised we lost Nasarawa because of our national chairman, even though that's a state, but we still lost the state. But clearly, the 2 states that shocked me apart from Lagos is Kaduna and Katsina, because those are something that you couldn't have thought about. That is why I keep laughing when some people go around jumping and screaming that the elections were rigged. You are going to rig election, then you will rig it in your stronghold. So where were the elections rigged? Except The person shouting election was rigged got 90% in his home state. We never got 90% in our home state, and we are not the ones screaming rigging. I mean, you know you won't win an election, but let's create enough problem so that you can burn down the country after you have lost. I said this in one television station. I said some of the polls they are giving, they were not scientific, because I'm a research student, and I understand when you are doing a poll, there must be methodology, there must be sampling system that you will use. These guys sat down in a room and they keep writing funny results and call it polls. And I said the reason why they are doing these polls, you will see it after the election. When they have lost, they will use that as an excuse to try to burn down the country. And like a prophet, I can see that what I said then is coming to pass. They are deliberately going around creating unnecessary problems, screaming they won an election that they knew they never won, but they just want to look for enough reason to delegitimize this victory of Asiwaju, and also to, if possible, burn down Nigeria if they can. But I hope the security service and the people in charge are seeing this, and they will do what they need to do to curb this madness before it consumes all of us. Election, for me, is like a sport. Somebody wins, someone loses. If you lose, you go back and strategize, and you try to win again next time. You don't try to burn down the house because you couldn't catch a rat. Because when you burn down the house, you will have nowhere to sleep in the night after you have killed the rat. So I don't see any reason why we can't move on. We have won the election, they have lost, but we have stretched our hand of fellowship. If they refuse to accept it, they should go to court, which is the right thing to do. Not every day going on TV, making incendiary comments and trying to burn down the country. Nobody will live in the state of war. We don't want it. We have seen it in our neighboring countries. Nobody. You can only start it, you don't know who will end it. So I hope sense and reasoning will prevail over this unnecessary gra that is being displayed everywhere. Nobody wants it, nobody needs it. And if you believe that you have been cheated, go to court, show the evidence, show your proof, and win your case. But if you have been to court, you're already in court, and you are still going around creating problems, it tells you clearly that you know you have no case. So you just went to court to satisfy your base, and then the next thing you want to do is create problem for the whole country. We don't need that. Nigeria doesn't need that. We have an economy to revive. We have a country to grow. We have infrastructure to build. We have jobs to create for the young people. No, our young people should never be used as cannon fodder for somebody else's ambition. I pray the young people can see clearly beyond the facade that somebody look, this messianic concept is a very unintelligent concept. No Messiah is coming to save Nigeria. Nigerians will be saved by our planning, by our collective effort of building a country. Nobody should think without him there will be no country. A country will be built by the entirety of the people working together, pulling in the same direction to build that country. So that is what I want to pass as a message to our people, especially our young people, whom these people have been trying to goad into going on the street and getting themselves killed unnecessarily. It is unfair to use young people to fight for your personal ambition, knowing fully well that you didn't win an election, you have gone to court, and then if you believe that you have a case, let the court adjudicate. That's how it should be.
All right, Mr. Oyalowo, APC lost 12 states during the presidential election, but did much better in the governorship election. What did the party do differently to achieve a better outing in the governorship election? Was it better campaign strategy? Was it better communication techniques or mobilization?
Well, it's not a very difficult thing to find out. I'll tell you one thing. If you go to Lagos, for instance, why did we lose in Lagos? We lost in Lagos because one, ethnicity became the claim. One candidate went to Lagos, he didn't go to anywhere, he kept going to where people of his tribe were to rile up ethnic problem. Then, if you also come to Abuja, I can mention 2 churches, even though I don't want to give them unnecessary publicity. These people, even after the election has been lost, they are still going on their pulpit, raining curses every day, pretending to be assistant of God. That they are talking about God, they have given fake prophecy, the prophecy had failed. So these religious things affected us. They used the Muslim ticket to beat the APC. However, for a few people that I could speak with, I spoke to them clearly. And let me tell you what I said to a few people. I said, look, they've been shouting Muslim ticket. Fortunately, you are a Lagosian like me. I was in Lagos when Asiwaju was the governor. Did Asiwaju ever at one time used his religious belief as a Muslim to oppress with the Christians? For once, just mention once, nobody could give an example. And I also reminded them that even in the State House Marina, who built the chapel for Christians there? It was Asiwaju. Therefore, it was clear that this religious noise about Asiwaju was an unfounded noise. So what happened in the presidential election was, one, religious politics took precedence over what I would call common sense politics, because many people that voted then because they were angry that we had a president who is supposedly a Muslim and a vice president who is also a Muslim, and then they didn't like that. But when it came to the governorship election, it was a different dynamics. For instance, Governor Sowo in Lagos is a Christian. His deputy is a Muslim, so you can't use a religious politics there. So clearly people who would not have voted for Asiwaju because maybe they thought they were fighting for their religious belief, they didn't need that again. And then if you also go to other states, like a state like, let me say, I want to remember which of the states we also lost in the election. Most of those are local issues. So it is no longer about the president, it's about a local issue. So, for instance, a Benue state, for instance, people are tired of governors telling them stories, not paying their salaries, looking for excuse of Fulani here, not Fulani there, making reasons not to just pay salaries and punish the citizens. They finally voted for a man they believe is going to liberate them from the shackles of wicked leaders. So those are local issues that also facilitated the difference in what happened on the 25th of February from what happened on the 18th of March. People had a different mindset. Like I said, I think Nigerians are becoming more sophisticated in terms of voting. People no longer vote just on party. They vote based on so many other parameters. I don't like this person. He's from my tribe. He's my religious man. I was in church before the presidential election, and somebody was supposed to lead a prayer. And the person was leading a prayer, and if I wasn't mature enough, I would have walked out before the service finished. So those are some of the challenges we had to contend with before the presidential election. However, those things no longer matter in the governorship election, because in all the states, if it was a predominantly Muslim state, they don't care whether it was Muslim. If it was a predominantly Christian state, they don't care if it was Christian. And if it was a state that was shared, most of them had a governor who was a Christian and a deputy who was a Muslim, or vice versa. So those things that they used to beat Asiwaju as stick was not necessarily used in the governorship election, because the dynamics were completely different.
All right, Mr. Oyalowo, when we come back after this break, we will take a look at INEC performance in the 2023 elections and more lessons and takeaways from the entire election. But before then, let's take this break and I'll be right back. Welcome back to Politics Tonight, and I still have with me a political and development economist and member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, Ayobami Oyalowo. We're discussing the lessons learned and takeaways from the 2023 elections. All right, let's talk about INEC performance in the 2023 elections, which has continued to generate divided opinions. What's your view on this?
Well, I have to say, for the presidential election, INEC, even the Nigerian Bar Association gave INEC 80%. I also know that so many of the foreign observers were pretty satisfied with INEC performances. However, in the governorship election, it seems it's a different ballgame. We were going to have the first female governor, and suddenly all hell broke loose. So it's a mixed result. For the presidential election, it is much credible than it has always been. It is credible, it is more transparent. People could easily tell in each state and in each locality what was going on. However, in the governorship election, it was a war. Enugu State was just declared yesterday, and the same thing with Abia State. A lot of stories came forth. So I think INEC will need two things. They have institutionalized the independence of INEC, which is a good thing. However, you will still need more honest people to be able to stand up to the challenges that is posed by strong men. And when I say that, I say this respectfully, especially about what I witnessed or I know was going on in Adamawa State. Some of our leaders, I remember former Governor James Oshomole, had to fly down to Adamawa. My very good friend and sister, Binta Masigarba, almost lost her life when they were attacked and shot at. So the problem is not necessarily just INEC, but human issues, interference. The thing that actually I could say about Adamawa that I'm using as example is the fact that the governor is a first-time governor. He defeated a sitting APC governor. However, he has now seen the place as his personal estate and property, and then he was not going to let someone else defeat him, which for me was an unfortunate circumstances. But I hope INEC will come out of this smelling of roses. So the governorship election is a little bit more not as transparent and as neatly done as the governorship. That's my own personal assessment. I think the presidential election went far better than the governorship election that we just held. And that could be down to the fact that people didn't want to lose. And then instead of allowing the will of the people, especially in some places, like I gave an example of Adamawa, and then you also have what happened in Abia and Enugu State. It became a challenge for the sitting government, the PDP. I think both states were led by PDP. And it tells a story that the PDP, when they were in government, they don't lose election. So I think APC has fared better, whereas even as a sitting government, we've lost states, we've lost elections in states that normally were APC state. However, I think the PDP are a little bit more, they are not like the APC. They hate to lose, and they will do anything, because what I learned happened in that Ongwa, I don't know how to pronounce the name of the local government properly, was that there were about 9,000 votes, and suddenly it became 108,000. So I think that's how they have been doing. So PDP needs to calm down and start learning that democracy is about what the people want. So the governorship election was more of a, we will not lose our state to the opposition. Unfortunately, they still lost Abia, even though they were able to find a way around Enugu. I don't know how they did it, but I know that they happily lost Abia. And I pray for the people of Abia that they will finally find good governance, because I've been to that state before. Honestly, I've never seen a state more poorly governed than that state. So I think the governorship election needs to improve in the next coming election cycle.
All right, Mr. Oyalowo, when you say that you cannot totally put all of these blames on INEC, but interference, interference by who? Do you mean politicians?
I said strong men. I said strong men. That's why I called the names of the parties that are involved. For instance, the governor of Adamawa State, like I said, he's a first-time governor, and he defeated a sitting governor who was going for his own second term. Now we are going to have a first female governor in Nigeria, and now he doesn't want that to happen. And I understand. In fact,
I would kindly hold on. Let's not talk about Adamawa, because, as you know, the results and election there is inconclusive.
Still on. Okay. Let's go to like Abia that has been concluded. Yeah. When you talk about interference, it's about the sitting people. Interference in Abia was about Ngwa local government. I hope I got the name of the local government correct. It was about a local government where PDP had 9,000 votes, and the result was suddenly changed to 108,000 votes, which automatically made them the winner. So those are some of the problems. Interference from politicians who didn't want to lose their seat or their state, because they will tell you that Abia has been a PDP state from 1999. It will not go to another person. However, Labour was able to get it through Alex Oti. We hope that he will make the people happy after getting it. So it is this kind of interference that made the governorship election a little bit not as neat as the presidential election. And if you remember, in the presidential we just got concluded, I think yesterday, and you must remember, it's just 28 states, not 36 states this time around. So it tells you clearly that the governorship election is a little bit more, it was a bit tacky than we had with the presidential election.
All right, so in its entirety, the campaigns and elections were characterized by so much bad blood and name-calling. What do you think was responsible for this?
It is desperation by people. For instance, let's come back to Lagos. I think because Labour won Lagos State, the candidate of Labour Party, if you go to Lagos today, I'm not exaggerating, you can go around the street of Lagos, he didn't have one single poster in so many streets. I never saw his poster when I went to. He didn't have. He was not even thinking he was going to win. He was supposed to be deputy to the PDP guy, and then they had a falling out, and then Bode George brought him, and then they pushed him to Labour. He didn't think he was going to win. But as soon as Obi won Lagos, the mindset changed, and then it became, oh, we are going to capture Lagos. And see, some languages are never supposed to be employed. People talked about the reaction of one tribe to another tribe, but nobody talked about the provocation that led to the reaction. So I honestly, I'm trying not to go into the details of it because I want to respect what our leader has said, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect, that there should be healing. But I will just paraphrase around it that nobody has the right to call people's land no man's land. Nobody has the right to say, we will capture the land. And if you say that, you will automatically bring out a reaction from people who normally would not have reacted. So I think those kind of bad languages should be discarded from our polity. People should respect other people. People should never go out of their ways to try and win election at all costs. And the danger in winning election at all costs is that when you have said all these horrible things about yourselves, about the other tribe, about the other people, when the elections are over, the things that has been said will not leave. They will now become a problem that you have to deal with. So that is why I'm always saying, be careful what you say because of election. A lot of terrible things were said by people, and then it brought out reaction by other people, and we saw all these things manifesting. Also, in places like Kano, you can say intolerance also can be an issue. I'll give an example. NNPP won Kano. Instead of being happy that they won, they went around beating up APC people. One of our guys, whose name is Rara, a musician, house was touched and got burnt down. Even though we lost the election, they still had to deal with our people. And all these things boils down to languages that have been employed before election. And I will employ our people and the media. It is time to move on from election. We have finished election. Let us build a country again. The media must be a partner in development. I don't know, maybe new media practitioner, new people that are practicing media do not remember that the media used to be called and still is called the fourth estate of the realm. Maybe I will do a little bit of lecture here. I hope even those from other television shows, especially those TV people that are always inciting violence, not TVC, they know themselves. I hope some of their people will hear this. The fourth estate of the realm that they call the media is because you have a three arms of government. And then the media is the fourth arm, which, though unofficial, is still very, very important into the building of a nation. And when a media decide that it will burn down a country, they always have the power of the media is such that when the media become partisan, it becomes a danger to the country. And I'll give you an example. In 1994, radio stations in Rwanda were going around creating ethnic tension. What was the result? A genocide. 2 million lives were perished because of media houses. So I'm using this opportunity to beg Nigerian media. It is time to tune down the rhetoric. It's time to stop bringing in people that will come to the station and make incendiary statements. If Nigeria catches fire today, none of us knows if we will escape the conflagration. So I'm happy that TVC is trying to be reasonable. I hope other TV stations and radios will be reasonable, especially the radio station. I'm also begging them, all this they are calling, where they say all these horrible things, these things have effect. When you say these kind of things before election or during election or anytime to people, there will always be a blowback if we are not careful. So I'm begging that we all must understand election is over now. Let us build our country. Let us heal our land, because Nigeria belongs to all of us. And a Nigeria that works for all is the Nigeria we are looking for.
Let's now move on to other pertinent issues. Many people have advised the president-elect to trigger the healing process by forming a government of national unity. Do you agree?
Well, I don't know what they mean by that. A government of national unity, I don't know what it means, but he has said he will form a government of national competence, and I agree with that. And I will explain to you. You see, we are running a constitutional democracy which is federal in nature. When a party wins, the party forms a government. What you expect from him is he will look around the country and bring in competent people from all over Nigeria, young people, women, professionals, and all those things. Yes, that's unity, because you bring in people from the north, people from the south, from the northwest, north central, northeast, south, southwest, and southeast. That is how you form unity. So the government that he plans to form, he said, is national competence. So he's going to look at competent people from everywhere. You see, we had this mistake in 1999 when people were invited to come and be ministers under the PDP-led government by Obasanjo then. We know how it happened, and we know how it ended. Some of them decamped from the parties to the PDP. In fact, some lost their life. A city minister lost his life trying to do government of national unity. So I don't think it makes sense to jump from your party to another party, because you see, in the places where they do national unity government, you have parliamentary system, and then you must have a certain number of seats in the parliament to form a government. Now, if you don't have that number of seats, you now invite another party that is maybe smaller to join you so that you can now form a government together. So when you now have party A inviting party C, you now have a government of national unity. But when Nigerians hear this, they just jump into it, a government of national unity. If my party, for instance, say this is how we want to do something, and then you are saying national unity, and then I go and bring somebody who say this is how he wants to do it, you see, there is already a divergence of opinion. And when you have a divergence of opinion, you will never have unified system in working. So what Asiwaju wants to do makes more sense than this stringent call for national unity. Anybody who wants to be in national unity should be in the party that wins. If your party does not win, go and strategize and win an election so you can form government. You don't try to come in through the back door in the guise of national unity. National unity means everybody from Nigeria is going to be involved. Government of national competence of Asiwaju means every Nigerian who subscribe to the ideology of Asiwaju and his party will have a space in the government if you believe in his vision and you can run with it. And like I always use this example of a change manager, because I understand how it works in the corporate system. When you are a change manager, you are a visionary. You can only bring people who believe in your vision to help you achieve your vision. You don't bring people who fought against your vision, people who want to ensure that your vision does not come to fruition, to come and help you work on it. They will destroy it. It will not work. So I'd rather a government of national competence other than a government of national unity. When you bring people of people that you call strange bedfellows together, it will never work, because it has never worked before.
So moving on, now that your candidate has won the presidential election, how convinced are you that he has what it takes to transform Nigeria?
Wow, what a question. Asiwaju, you see, I always say a Friday that will be good, like we say it in the local parlance, you start knowing by Thursday evening. In fact, somebody says, in fact, it's not even Thursday, by Wednesday night, you already know the Friday that will be good. So the man did excellently well as the governor of Lagos State. Unlike so many other people who jump around taking appointments here and there, Asiwaju sat down in his house. He built a blueprint of how he will become a president in the next 20 years. And he started working on it. So this is a man who was prepared to be president. He's not an accidental president. And I can't quote exactly, but I will paraphrase the word of Reverend Father Bishop Matthew Kuka. He said it. He said, this is the first time we're going to be having a president who is actually prepared to be president. He didn't become a president because his president died and then he had to step into the shoe. He didn't become a president because he wanted to be president by all means. He became a president because he wanted it and he has planned for it. So I can tell Nigerians today, I look into the camera and I'm saying this, you are having a president who was prepared, who is prepared, who has planned to be president. And he will not just be a president, he will be a leader who understands what Nigeria needs to grow economically, to develop our youth, to build infrastructure, and to secure Nigeria. Asiwaju is completely ready. He's well packaged to do it because he has planned for it over years. He has drawn a blueprint, just the same way he drew the blueprint of Lagos. Until today, we are still salivating and enjoying the beauty of Lagos. Nigeria is in for a great time, for a good ride, and for a jolly time, because Asiwaju is a president who will not be president by mistake. He's a president who is a president that is prepared, that has planned, and that has a blueprint mapped out correctly to fix every aspect of our national life.
So let's talk about young people and the 2023 elections. How much impact will you say they made this time around? Yeah, in a country that you have about 65% of the country under 35, without them you will not win an election. We have young people on all sides. While young people on Asiwaju's side are more sedate, they are more coached and calmer. Young people on the other side are a bit more aggressive, and Nigerian youth are in for a good time. They should just look at Lagos. Governor Sanwo-Olu was an SA to Asiwaju before he became a commissioner. Today he's a governor. It tells you that Asiwaju builds people. A lot of young people, I always use a lot of them around that worked with him. Even my big brother, former governor Raji Fashola, Babatude Raji Fashola, was a young man. All of them were either just entering their 40s or just in the beginning of their 40s. When they became governors, Asiwaju built and groomed young people. So Nigerian young people have participated strongly in making Asiwaju president. I can tell you without equivocation, they will participate a lot in this government. Young people will have a lot of space in this government to grow, to be groomed, and to be prepared to take the next step in their lives, in their political lives, so that Nigeria can be built. We are going to have, and then I will also put this, I had a discussion with Malam Nasir Rufai recently, and he told me, look, Ayo, you see what I'm doing. Young people are a huge part of my government, and I remember Asiwaju was telling him, please don't run away, you work with me. So you see, these are people who have young people in their mind. So the Nigerian youth can go to bed with this assurance that they are having leaders who have huge plans for young people, and young people will have a big role to play in the government of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You can take this to the bank. Let's talk about other developments that have come up after the presidential election. The Labour Party presidential candidates Peter Obi and that of PDP Atiku Abubakar have filed petition against the APC victory. How prepared are you as a party to defend your mandate?
Well, it is good that they filed petitions in the court, which I suspected should have been the most reasonable thing to do, instead of going on TV and making irresponsible statements like the vice president chair candidate of Labour made yesterday. This is a guy who didn't even win his polling unit, he didn't win his local government, but let's leave that aside. You see, when people go around shouting they were rigged out, you ask a question, why are they saying this? Then you realize that is the nature of who they are. This is a public, is in public domain, so I can say it without equivocation. That Baba Ahmed goes by the title senator, but he was actually rigged to become a senator, which a court found him guilty and removed him. This man did not drop the privileges of being a senator until the court took him out. But yesterday, he was going around saying Asiwaju must not be sworn in, and if he's sworn in, democracy will end. These are the irresponsible statements we expect leaders not to make. However, we are not surprised at this kind of statement, because it just tells you the measure of who these people are. However, they have gone to court now. We are very happy that they are in court, because we are going to prove clearly that we won the 12 states that we won, and we got the 25% and above in the remaining states that made up for our winning or having 25% or more in at least 28 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So we don't have any worries. We have no, in fact, I think they say we are counter-swing, and I hope we do, because some vote that came from the Southeast needs to be probed. We need to check the figure. How did somebody make 90% while other parties made 2%? Meanwhile, if we check other regions, it was a bit fairer. When somebody wins, other people make 20%, 15%, 30%, but only in one region did only one person make 90% and above, and other people make less than 5%. There's no method to sort
because of time. Because of times. Now, in less than 1 minute, some opposition politicians like Obi's running mate, Yusuf Dati, continue to make allegation of rigging in the elections. What's your response to this?
Yeah, like I said, he made the allegation of rigging because it is a measure of who he is. He rigged his election to become a senator until he was removed. And so it is for him, like there's a Yoruba adage that said, the ones who remove people's head with a sword hates a sword being passed over their head. If you keep shouting something, people need to look at you very well. Whatever you are shouting is who you truly are. For him to keep shouting rigging, just check it out. That means that is who he is. We don't care about the allegation. We are just worried about they are trying to use our young people as cannon fodder to get their blind ambition. So for us, going to court is a perfect way, because we can prove that they are lying about the rigging. But trying to burn the country is what we will not accept. And I am glad that my friend and brother, Festus Keyamo, has made a petition to the DSS, and I hope the security agencies will do their job and stop people who are trying to create problem where there is none from creating this problem, so that we will have a peaceable environment and a growing country.
Right. I must say a very big thank you to you, Mr. Ayobami Oyalowo, political and development economist and member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. We discussed the lessons learned and takeaways from the 2023 elections. Thank you very much for coming on Politics Tonight, and I look forward to more conversations with you where you will, get to share with me findings, be more open with me and share with me findings in our future discussion. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
And thank you very much for watching. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But the conversation continues from here. Get in touch with us on Twitter at CVCNewsNG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC Nigeria. Join us for the repeat episode at midnight and tomorrow for another edition of Politics Tonight. Dig and beyond the headlines. I am Olajumoke. Goodbye.
Greasy and smelly braids can be a thing of the past. Introducing the new Ruba braids from Expression, made with 100%